Hey, it's John Vance from the Bee Shifter podcast here. Welcome to this special edition of the Bee Shifter podcast. Today, we are going to get Josh Blum on the line here and go through the Blue Card rundown, all the events and happenings with Blue Card, whether it's new CE, new programs, some additional dates, the conference, everything. We're going to cover that right now with our own Josh Blum. So now we say hi to Josh Blum. How are you doing, Josh?
Doing great, John. How are you?
Good, good. It's been a little bit since we got on and did some news and just give everyone a state of what is happening with Blue Card. So we thought that would be a good idea to do that today, to go over some of the Blue Card news and some of the programs coming up and what we really have for the rest of 2025. We had a great FDIC visit. How many people would you say came by the booth and talked to us? I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, I would estimate. I mean, we were really set up since we were in that hallway, Tuesday through Saturday, and I would say 1,000+ people came by that actually wanted to actually talk Blue Card and talk command and what we do and what we could do, and then obviously all the other folks that came by looking for challenge coins or free handouts or pins or whatever. But that's good too. That's good too.
Yeah,
it was great having. It was a lot of fun having Nick there because seeing him engage like he did with so many people and talking to current customers and future customers and maybe some could be customers, and then some of the folks that were able to connect back with him from long ago, because it's been quite a while since he's been there. And then so that was really good. And then some of the networking and partnerships and the people stopping by, Shane Ray stopping by and getting to talk to Cirillo stopping by, just talking about the conference a little bit and what he's going to be doing there. And I mean, it was excellent. And then just like any time that we're on the road or I'm on the road or, we stop, just like being at the fire department. If you're gone for a week, playing catch up. So this week has been the week of catch up, and then, following up on so many things from last week of fire departments that are getting started or wanting to engage or, so on. So we've booking classes filling up, trying to get people information on workshops, and then we've been busy, just with so many of the other things we're going to talk about that are, new and coming out and that we've posted and getting ready to come out. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it was a good week.
Super happy that the weather's breaking. It's going to be 80 and sunny here in Cincinnati tomorrow. So that's nice, because we got the beat down for unusual winter for us. And so that'll be nice. Get little sunshine every day. It always helps.
It's 76 degrees tomorrow in Phoenix, believe it or not. It's pretty nice, though, here, too. So thanks to everybody who came by FDIC. We really appreciate everyone visiting, and we had a lot of great questions. As you said, some people would come by and kind of challenge what Blue Card is, and to be able to have Nick there talking about the origins of Blue Card and how it works. A lot of people are misinformed on what the system is really all about. They're existing on rumors. So to be able to actually talk to folks and tell them what the system is, how it works, why they should do it, was certainly helpful for us at FDIC this year.
It's funny when some of the people come by, some of the people that did come by and, talking about, it's just a communication system, right? And it's like, you're missing it. And then, 45 minutes later, they were still standing there after, Nick or Eric or Chris or you or me, whoever, spent time with them and showed them, from A to Z, from the fire command book to showing them the online to, showing them the bshifter.com website. And then, Eric spending some time maybe with them on the after action reporting. And they're like, oh, this is like a whole program to help you make better decisions and to actually help to run the fire ground and help us to have better outcomes. And it's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, we were always just told it was a communications program. It's just what you say. And it's like, no, it's because you listen to somebody out there who doesn't know what it is either. And they just try to define it as that. And I always throw it out there. Communications is just one of the 8 functions of command, and communications part is very important, but it's just really where we're acting out all those other command functions that we went through, including the strategic decision making model component. So yeah, that was really good, and that those conversations engaged a lot of people to contact us and look at what they can do and to try to get started with the system. So
you brought up bshifter.com. This last few months we've been really pushing that. If you go to bshifter.com, that is where you can find our training that is for free. I mean, every week there's an article there. Most weeks there's a podcast. Most weeks we're adding something to the download center. So there's always something new at bshifter.com. And we invite you, if you haven't spent some time tooling around that website, to get on and check it out, because there is something for your department there. And I send out articles from it all the time. If somebody has a question on ARF or whatever, you can probably find it at bshifter.com. So every week we send out the bshifter buck slip that comes to your email. And if you have not signed up for the bshifter buck slip and you're interested in doing that, you can get into the show notes and there'll be a link there to sign up for it. But that really just links you back to bshifter.com. So we're letting you know what is new that week. And then you can get in there and just explore for hours on free training content that you can use for your department.
Yeah, that bshifter.com, I send somebody to that every single day. The free downloads, the free SOG downloads, I get that at least once a day from somebody. Hey, we're revamping, we're working on our SOGs. I had 2 people today reach out to me. Hey, we have Lexipol and we want to put, we want to have Blue Card SOGs and Lexipol. Where do we get that? And it's like, so I walked them through it. I said, are you at your computer? And they logged in, took them to the free downloads, said, hey, just click on the last folder there, 10. I said, and then if you just go to 10987, those last 4 folders, there's 13 or 14 SOGs in there, everything from fire command and managing the fire ground to division ops to the air management and so on. And not to mention all the other stuff that's in there.
We just added one today. The state of Illinois put out a sample SOG for structural firefighting. What do you know about that? What was the impetus of that? Or is and you said that it's about 80% blue card. So if somebody wanted to take a look at that and try to align it to their department, they can. If not, you can just get the rest of the SOGs from us. And that's we give you the free command SOG so you can get in there and get that. But that's just an example of we find some information. We're going to put it out for our users.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's 3 or 4 pages and it's a kind of a overview gloss over maybe of what a command SOG could look like. And then looks like they tried to pull out some 1700, stuff maybe and put some big box information, multifamily information and fires in balloon frame buildings. And there's some pieces in there about tilt slab and roof reports and so on. And then I laugh because the SOG has an acronym in there, and it's building occupancy, height, arrangement, all these things. And it's like, that's the critical fire ground factors right there. And they've just called it, something different. So yeah, it's a decent document. It doesn't line up all with Blue Card. It doesn't line up with even what the industry is really saying with best practice when it comes to like fires and sprinkler buildings. But some of it does, but it's a place to start. And I would just, if you wanted to look at that, I'd look at that and then look at all the other Blue Card ones to figure out what works best for you, and then look at the standard of what is the standard, and which really takes you to the best practice piece. So
another thing we wanted to mention that's now on the Blue Card site, if you go to events, there's some new trainers that have been announced. Train the trainer for Blue Card. Where are we going to next? What's been announced this week?
Yeah, so we just this week, within the last week or two, we added a trainer, Central County, Missouri. I think there's going to be a couple seats maybe open in that class, which that's that St. Louis area. Sterling Heights, Michigan. There might be 1 or 2 seats that end up being available in that class. Volusia County, Florida, new county department in Florida that's coming online. Uh, they actually are going to fill 16 seats in that train the trainer, so it is full. But we'll be headed there in August, and then just announced today, Bay County, Florida, so Panama City Beach, train the trainer, July 28th through August 1st. So we're actually going to be in Florida 2 weeks in a row. So we'll be in Bay County that week of the 28th, and then the following week we'll be in Volusia County. So, with that said, I think I got 7 or 8 departments that I'm just waiting and working on dates to try to get them classes scheduled. And we're booking October, November, December. And when I say that, we're not open in October, November, and December. I think we have 3 trainers in October, 3 in November, and I think 2 in December. And then we got like 7 workshops scheduled in that same time frame. So our schedule's filling up through the end of the year. So if you're wanting to get something on the books, a trainer or workshops, reach out to me, and we can at least look at some dates and get it on the radar of trying to get it in before 2026, because it's definitely filling up.
Yeah, a few seats open in June in Phoenix. Then in the fall, there's some seats open in Phoenix, but we don't generally do train the trainers in Phoenix in July or August. So you don't look for them then. You're going to either want to book in the fall or book in that June train the trainer if you are interested in attending courses at the Alan V. Brunacini Command Training Center in Phoenix.
And it comes up, so we'll put it out there. So, like, what's the requirement for a regional train the trainer? So we have to have a minimum of 8 people for us to come on site. So 8 students to come on site. And then we say a max. We'll go with a max of 16 as long as your facility can do that, and we'll just send 4 instructors if you have that many students. So we maintain that 4-to-1 instructor ratio for the train to trainer class. Otherwise, there's no way you get through all the material. So if you're interested in hosting a regional train the trainer class, if you can come up with a minimum of 8 students, we will come on site in your region and deliver that. So just something to keep on the radar. We get that several times a week. What's the requirement for that?
Awesome. Well, what's going on with the conference? I know we're a few months away. We're continuing to get registrations. We've got some workshops that are pre-conference. What do we have going on there right now?
Yeah, so the conference, what are we, 5.5, 6 months away, I guess. We're about 6 months away, I think, from the conference. So not too far away. We're getting lots of registrations for the pre-conference stuff, because those classes are limited to a certain seat count. So the pre-conference classes, we're doing the safety train the trainer. So that is the classroom component, and you end up getting the curriculum package that goes with that size up fire extinguishment tactics train the trainer. So it's 2 days, and they'll burn the prop there, and then part of that deal is you'll get the prop at a reduced price. So if we come on site at your organization and do it, it's $9,500 for that 2-day safety train the trainer, where you get the prop, the hallway, 7 fuel packages, 2 instructors come on site, and then you get the entire curriculum, PowerPoint, instructor guide, the how-to package. So at the conference, we're doing it for $650, where you get the curriculum. I think it's $650. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure why that number was coming to my mind, but it's a much reduced price. So you get the 2-day safety train the trainer in that curriculum package, and then you buy the prop at a much reduced price, because we're not traveling and sending instructors to your organization. So we're offering that. We got the Mayday workshop, which last year was, I don't know, we ended up with 100 and something people in that Mayday workshop. It's filling up again this year. We have it posted for 40 seats right now, and if we had to, we may expand it, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. The much sought after strategic decision making model, critical thinking class that Chris Stewart and Eric Phillips deliver. That class is being delivered, 2-day workshop at the conference. That's also filling up. A new class, I shouldn't say new, I guess a re-envision class. Tim Schabel is working on putting together of really from you pull up as the first due company officer on a fire truck, and you expand it all the way to a type 3 incident, working with emergency management, maybe working with an EOC, and then like where does it go from there, which really takes you right to the type 2 or type 1 incident, because the boots on the ground person probably isn't talking to the federal government. That's going to happen through the EOC and all of that. So it's how does Blue Card grow and evolve into one of those bigger incidents? And then we got a CERT lab posted. So last year we ended up with 20 people, I think, for the CERT lab, and it was a lot of organizations just getting started, or somebody who maybe was getting ready to get promoted or whatever, that came to the CERT lab. So that's being taught by Blue Card lead instructors as well. So the CERT lab will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So September 29th, 30th, and the 1st. And then the other workshops, pre-conference workshops, are the 30th and the 1st. And then the conference is the 2nd and the 3rd. And we got, I think there's 22 different breakouts that we're going to be doing at the conference this year. So our general session is Dan again with FSRI, and he's got some new material that he's going to be pushing out with some of the stuff that they've been working on and some of the stuff that's going to happen actually between now and then. Shane Ray, so they're going to have the sprinkler trailer there again. They're going to do some of that, but he's got a lot of really good information from this last 6 months of sprinkler systems and technology, and some of the new technology that's coming about with how fire departments can better understand and connect with what's going on with these giant buildings and the systems that are inside of them. And those systems are being run by computers now, and like the computers are sending out data, and you can see how much water's flowing, and maybe even cameras and all kinds of stuff. So that'll be really good. And then John Cirillo from FDNY talking about what he's that subject matter expert on, just one of the many things he's subject matter expert on, but wind driven fires, and it doesn't have to be a high rise fire, and what happens at the ground level. And then a bit on just fire growth, and like why are these conditions different, and why are we seeing people get caught up much quicker inside of burning buildings now than we were in the past. And then again, all the breakout sessions, and as always with all of our conferences, there'll be beverages within the conference registration. Beverages all day, snacks all day, lunch provided both days. Thursday night we're going to do that get together again at the Third Eye Brewing, which is always good. Fire departments networking, new organizations coming online, talking to people who've been using the system for a while. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got great room rates again at the Preferred Hotel at the Hyatt, and then across the street at that Delta Marriott. I think our room rate, the highest room rate again, is like $169, but I think you can get a room for like $129. So besides getting there, registration, getting there, and maybe your dinner, all the rest of it's covered with your registration fee.
And to clarify on the prices, it's $345 for all the workshops, with the exception of the safety workshop, which is $750. So you're just a little bit off on that. Or you can bundle them all together with the exception of the safety, and that's $830 for the whole conference. So it's a great training deal. When you look at how much training, especially for the general conference, with 23 unique sessions that you can go to, you really won't find anything like that, especially that addresses fire command and leadership anywhere in the American Fire Service.
Yeah, and the conference, just as we've done at every conference, when it was in South Bend, when it was in Phoenix, back to South Bend, and then now in Cincinnati, every single registration gets a free transferable online account. So you're paying $485 to come to the conference. You get a voucher basically that's worth $385 that you can put somebody in your organization through the online program. So I always tell people, if you're looking to put people online, really you can come to the conference. The 2-day conference registration's really $100. So it's a really good deal.
So go to bshifter.com There's a tab there for the 2025 Blue Card Hazard Zone Conference. Click on that. All the info is there. You can also sign up through the B Shifter website. So enter your information and we'll get you hooked up.
Yeah,
Hey.
I think I was looking, it looked like we picked up probably, I think, a dozen or so registrations today, which is
that's good.
Pretty typical. We're like in that 6-month window, and then, FDIC is over. So people are off to the next thing. So,
Yeah.
The workshops will definitely fill up. So if you have any interest in that, get on getting registered to attend those.
Exciting day today. This is Telecommunicators Week, so we salute our dispatchers. And to coincide with that, we've rolled out Dispatcher 2.0. What is that all about? And why did we go to 2.0? And what does that get us with the dispatcher program?
Yeah, so the second version of the dispatch program really just says everything about B Shifter and Blue Card, that we're always in a state of fixing ourselves. So version 1 came out. It was really good. Tons of good feedback. But with anything, you always get some, hey, what about this? Can we change that? All of that. So in the 2.0 program, there's been some updates and modifications, to it, and, meeting the current needs today compared to when the program was really developed. Even though it was just a few years ago, things change, very rapidly. And then with our new system, everything is being built on a new platform, so it has a much refreshed look, right? So it's so much, it just more appeasing to the eye, maybe, I guess you could say. Two reasons that it was rebuilt: one, functionality and what all is really in there, and making sure that we can get the updates. And since it was being rebuilt, it was rebuilt in this new platform, which is just so much more user friendly and looks better and keeps your attention, a bit better. So,
what is the ebook that the participants get?
Yeah, so the ebook that's connected to it. So when you register, there's an ebook that's really the reference book. No different than people who are familiar with Blue Card. Second edition of Fire Command is the reference book. So you get the ebook for Fire Command and Command Safety. Well, with the dispatch program, the developers of the program put together a reference book. So it's A to Z, literally a book for dispatchers that the program is written around. So it's really the reference guide. So you have access to that as long as you have an active account as a dispatcher.
What does that look like if somebody wants to put a dispatcher through? What kind of time commitment is it? And what are the steps for them to become a certified Blue Card dispatcher?
Yeah, so there's online cognitive learning. So step 1 would be sign them up for the online cognitive learning piece. So that's a, self-paced, for the most part, program. It's about 20 to 25 hours, and that's kind of how long do they sit there and how engaged are they with it. And, so 20 to 25 hours for them to get through that cognitive learning component piece. And then once they go through that, they actually attend. We suggest that they attend the first 2 days of a simulation lab. During that first day, during the classroom, they pick up a whole lot of other things, and they're networking with the people who they're talking to on the other end. So I think it's really important to have and build that relationship, and that we understand what they do and they understand a little bit more about what we do. And then that just helps. It helps us help them. And more importantly, it helps them help us, because for most of my career, we stuck them in the basement of a building or on the first floor of a building with 0 windows for security. And then nobody talked to them. Like, it was like they were just there. And it's like these voices just come from that place. And we didn't give them the attention that they need and deserve. And then, the fire service gets mad when the dispatchers maybe don't do what we want them to do. And it's like, well, the only thing you told them is answer 911 calls and push the button and send us. And it's like, there's so many other things that they can do. So this dispatch program goes through all of that, right? So on the worst day, when you have a mayday, what can they do to help you? And then everything leading up to that, if they're engaged with us all the time, then they can help us with with other things, right? They can kind of listen to the traffic and hear this isn't going good. Maybe we should pull up.
Uh-oh.
Am I still on?
Yeah, there you go. Maybe we should pull up is where you cut off.
So, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when the dispatchers are listening to what's going on and maybe it's not going so well, maybe they can pull up like the next alarm assignment, or they can give us some information, right? So oftentimes they can look at maps, and like with all the technology that's coming around, they can look at cameras, they can reach out to people. I mean, there's so many things that they can do. So the program kind of goes through, some of those parts and pieces of what they can do. So they're in the classroom, they're hearing all those parts and pieces, and then they actually play the role of dispatcher for two scenarios that don't have emergency traffic, and then they play the dispatcher for two scenarios that have emergency traffic. So in the simulation lab, that would be the strategic shift scenarios. But you could also get through those a little bit, potentially, depending on how many people you're trying to do with using sets and reps, the sets and reps that are available, right? So as long as you have role players to where the dispatchers have to engage and go through the process from A to Z, from dispatch to listening to all the traffic that's going on, maybe tracking what's going on, communicating with the initial IC, communicating with IC2 when they establish their command position and it's transferred and announce what they're doing. And then when they make that, strategic shift, or if they're calling for a second alarm or whatever it may be. So the in-person part is really like 8 to 10 hours initially. So, when you put it all together, it's 30 hours of training where they're getting the cognitive part, and then they're getting that in-person component piece with the people who they're talking to on the other end of the radio, which is, fantastic. And the people who we've worked with and talked to that went through version 1 of this have already had excellent results, because we actually told them what we wanted them to do and gave them some information. And in some cases they hear things because they are active listeners, right? They're most often in a controlled atmosphere in a quiet space wearing a headset, and they may hear something that the IC, for whatever reason, should have heard but didn't hear, and then they could engage that. Did you hear engine 7's priority traffic, or whatever it is? And then, we've heard plenty of transmissions over the years of the dispatcher hearing a mayday that command didn't hear, or the dispatcher hearing other very pertinent traffic of, did you hear that they're burning up in the basement and they need their handline charged? And it's like, well, if we don't engage with them and tell them that we want to hear this, and we treat them like, you just dispatch us and then just shut up, they might not say a word, but they can make a difference. They can make our job so much easier. It's just another component to the whole command system. Just like the strategic IC having that support officer in the car with them, the dispatcher can provide so much support also.
So they can sign up for this online. They can just go to our website and under the registration, go to the registration section, and that'll be one of the options to sign up for the dispatcher program. Here's what I like about it is it really orients that new dispatcher. I came from a system that originally we had a lot of firefighters that also worked in dispatch part-time, so that helped a lot. But then going into another system where they were police dispatchers that had no orientation to the fire service at all. So this even starts off with, hey, this is what an engine does. This is what a truck does. If we're calling for tankers or tenders, this is why. If we're charging a hose line, this is what it looks like. So there's some very basic firefighting stuff in there that orients your new dispatcher to what we're doing out in the field.
Yeah. And the terminology, a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they hear priority traffic, it's like, oh, that's important, right? And it's a common sense thing, but really maybe it's not a common sense thing.
Got to train them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on with ARF? We've got the ARF program, the first inaugural Train the Trainer coming to Phoenix in June. Are we getting a lot of interest in that?
Yeah, so we opened that up for 24 seats for that first one. And I think half or a little over half of those seats are full and spoken for. Um, we've posted that up in a few other places. We got lots of interest in it. I think at FDIC, we talked to, I don't know, 50 or so airports alone, and then many, many military installations that deal with, airplanes, helicopters, some sort of an ARF component. So that first one will be just like Blue Card when Blue Card rolled out, officially with the first trainer in 2009. We think we got a solid program. It's got the group that put it together pretty diverse when it comes to their background and experience. So, chiefs that worked at, very, very busy international airports, chiefs that worked at military installations, some input from, the smaller municipal, airport piece. And then we've had many people already complete the online component and give a little bit of feedback about, what they deal with at their, basically regional airport and how can we fix that. And then already looking at, does this module fit, or can we build a module for every municipal fire department that any given day an airplane's going to fall down or could fall down in their community? And then what does that look like and how do you manage it? And obviously it wouldn't be, it'd be more like our first responder module, but for ARF. So we're looking at that. So like, what does that really look like? Because they're not going to have, an ARF truck necessarily pulling up, but where do you get that? How long is it going to take them to get there? What can you do, or what should you do? What should you avoid when that, Learjet or Cessna or prop plane or whatever, still successfully lands on, your interstate or roadway or in a field, but you need to engage because it's on fire, fuel leak, people trapped, whatever it is. So, yeah, we're super excited about it. It's been in the works for a while. The online launched a while ago, and we've got quite a few people going through that. The train the trainer is coming up here in June. That's the first one of those, and then there'll be many, many more. We've had organizations reaching out that are we ready to deliver the train the trainer on the road, and we want to get one or two of these initial train the trainer classes, get through those first, and like we always talk about, utilize command function 7 a little bit on it and hear the input and feedback and what do we need to change and update and what needs to be addressed with the program before we, start delivering it in the field. But it will be available, regionally as well to be, to go to any installation anywhere or any, fixed facility or airport anywhere. So super excited about it. So that program has the initial online, and then the cert lab component piece probably ends up being 1.5 or 2 days for an actual cert lab. And it depends on whether you're already doing Blue Card or not. So if you're an organization, if you're Loveland, Colorado, already doing Blue Card, and they decide they're going to do ARF, they could probably run a cert lab for 10 or 12 people in like a day and a half because they're already familiar with the system and the terminology and all of that. And if you're going to the ARF module certification program and you don't already do Blue Card, it's probably a 2, maybe 3 day, cert lab to get through it because of getting everybody acquainted a little bit more with those command functions and the process. So with that, there'll be multiple simulations for multiple different types of risk. So all the different alert levels of a plane coming in from, a major emergency like type incident to, a hot break incident maybe, or a potential of maybe they smelled something or whatever. And then what does it look like when the plane is, into a building? Because that's a whole nother component. So you have an ARF piece, but you also got a building component, part of it. So There's simulations, sets and reps, and tactical templates for multiple different aircraft types. And it's a certification, so there's going to be a 3-year cycle for that. So building out all of the CE that's going to go along with it, and then the refresher module, and then the testing component piece. So yeah, we're super excited about it. We've talked to, like I said, tons of people about it. A lot of people are engaging with it already. So we're looking forward to that rolling out in June and making a difference at in another place and another part of all hazards incident management.
And what's going on with our continuing education? I know there's we continue to add new modules. That's been our commitment to our folks that are doing Blue Card. What do we have new on the CE menu?
Yeah, so this first quarter we put out 2 CEs. So both of them around multifamily buildings, but initial radio reports and follow-up reports. We put that CE out in January, and then in February, March, we put out the CE on assigning units. And then we have some silverback leadership, modules that have come out. And then on the horizon here in the near future, we have another silverback leadership module that's going to launch, and then another CE that's going to launch, which is going to be a communications piece of really a focus on the 4 tickets to get on the radio. So priority traffic, status change, roof report, mayday, and then talking about CAN reports. So IC driven communications when you give somebody an assignment, when you get there, give me a CAN report, because the ticket to get on the radio is the IC told you that was part of your assignment. Give me a CAN report when you get to that location. So we got a CE coming with that. And then behind that one will be strategic CE, talking about strategic shifts, transfers of command, and then assigning division bosses. So that's all stuff on the horizon, all stuff that's in the works. I've reviewed now the long talked about and maybe long awaited 8 functions of command for TRT. So it's built. We're refining it. We got some SMEs going through it, giving us feedback. Kind of like when we built the hazmat, 8 functions of command for hazmat. It's like it's easy to get into the weeds and start talking too much task and tactical stuff. And with TRT, we want to really stay away from that. It's going to be more about that. Don't get yourself into trouble, and really some, I guess, TRT awareness, if you will, for multiple different, rescue type incidents, with a bit of a focus on if there's no rescue to be made, then it's not a rescue, right? So, the trench incident where the guy's buried in liquid sloth, it's not a rescue anymore, right? Or the person's been missing for 3 hours in the flat water, and they call you for a water incident. It's like, no, this is going to be a recovery. So a lot of focus on, would-be rescuers don't become victims. So I spent quite a bit of time going through that. Chris Stewart and Grant Light, they vast experience in that arena of rescue incidents. That Chris both of them working at Metro Fire Departments, being very engaged in what they do in their own organization. And then both of them have an engagement with at the federal level, deploying to very large scale incidents. And then so really talking about keeping yourself out of trouble, and what do you do when you get there? What can you do when you get there? Who do you call? So if you've been through the 8 functions of command for hazmat, this is going to look much like it. The difference is this is not going to be a certification. So there will not be a certification piece, but it likely will meet the requirements for awareness level for multiple different disciplines.
That's good. Yeah. And needed. I mean, I know in my organization, we could use that. So that's great. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, we spent the first 4 months of 2025 going through our after action review module that has been launched. You guys continue to add to that. We just finished up the series of webinars, 4 parts. You can go back on YouTube and watch all 4 parts if you'd like to, and get a good education on how to utilize the after action review module and how to enter information onto it. There's a lot of tutorials, but anything you want to say about wrapping that whole process up, and where do we go from here with the AARs?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I want to say is, if you have a current instructor license, blue card instructor license, then you have access to the after action reporting system. So it's not an add-on piece. It's not something else you have to activate. If you are an active instructor, it is already in your profile on the left side. You can go there, drop down to the bottom left, and you'll see where the after action reporting program is. And like John said, there's a 4-part series webinar series where it goes through, 1 and 2 go through the system. How do I build the after action report? What is it all about? Why did we build it? What's it aligned to? Where did the standard, pieces of it come from? And then, the webinar that we just wrapped up this last week was, now I know the data, and I know where we're doing good, and I know where we may have some areas that we need to improve upon. So how do I do that, and what training can I do, and what tools are available through Blue Card, to help do better in specific areas? That after action thing it's proven that it's been long awaited and that it's needed, because organizations are using it. Once they start using it, they're using it all the time. They're using it like crazy. So we got quite a few organizations that have come online over this last several months, and because they're brand new to the system, they're doing an after action report and just doing the initial radio report on every single fire incident that they go to. And they're using it as a tool to show, where are we at and what do we need to continue to refine and work on. And then we got organizations like, Lincoln, Nebraska, that have been with Blue Card for a while, but I don't know, they got a couple dozen, I think, maybe after action reports in there now. One of them being the multi-alarm fire that we did the podcast on, a few weeks ago. And it's just a really good tool that you can evaluate how did this incident go, and where are we doing good, and where can we improve upon, and then focus our training there. And like Eric Phillips always says, the days of having the same training calendar every single year that we do the same thing over and over again, it's kind of bullshit. It really just needs to go away. I mean, I get it. We need to check some boxes that are minimum requirements for drivers training and some of those things that we, absolutely have to do. But don't bring me down to do Blue Card training on initial radio reports and follow-up reports if we're getting 100%. But we never preface our radio traffic for a CAN report. So then let's focus on that. Let's talk about priority traffic and status changes. Or we're not doing good declaring strategy, which we recognize there's a shortfall there. And I think a lot of it has to do with people's belief that, well, I said I was stretching a hand line through the alpha side for primary search fire control. You should assume I'm offensive. And it's like the strategy, declaring a strategy is a decision. And if there's a process that you went through to get there. Saying you're stretching through the front door might just be, yeah, you're the fire department and you believe that's just what you should do. So we're going to be doing a podcast on that subject coming up here pretty soon on strategy and why it's so important and what it means. Because that's another one of those things we hear a lot, like Blue Car is just a communications program. Well, why do I have to say strategy? Because I said I was going inside, and it's like, yeah, well, it's a mindset. Strategy actually means something, and why we say it, and why we say it 3 times. So, the after action reporting system is, we're super happy with it. We do continue to refine it. When we get input from end users, it's built in a way that is very current and that we can continue to refine it. So, like so many things, like when you call the office and talk to Jen, and she oftentimes can fix whatever you're doing right at this very moment. Same thing with this. I mean, just last week, fire chief called Eric, said, "Hey, there's this basement, the whole basement thing. I think you need to change a little piece of it because my guys aren't scoring very well, but they couldn't identify a basement, and there's really not a way to say that." And 5 minutes later, it was fixed. And Eric called the chief back and was like, "That's been fixed." And they're like, "You're kidding me." And it's like, well, no, because I'm back at it. Command function 7. That's where we live. Like we are okay. We know we don't have all the answers, but with us having the ability to build systems in our SMEs and then our customer base that's growing closer and closer every day to, I'm going to say it, 100,000. We're not there yet, but our customer base is growing every day and getting closer and closer to 100,000. And feedback from all of those people, we have a system that no one else has, and that we know it makes a difference every single day. So, yeah, the after action reporting program is absolutely fantastic, and I think once people start using it, they can't get away from it.
Well, thanks for bringing us up to date on the Blue Card rundown, everything that we're doing. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we may have overlooked?
If you want, the only thing I'll circle back around on, if you want to book something for 2025, I mean, you can look at our schedule yourself, what's going on, and see that now through December, there's not a ton of space. I mean, we can do plenty of work, and we can double up weeks here and there. But if you want to book a train the trainer or your workshop, or you're looking for, just an update, you need to get it on the schedule, sooner than later, because like I said, I got 7 fire departments that I'm just waiting on dates for to book trainers, and that's just going to fill up that much more space. So reach out to me, Josh at BShifter, or, call me anytime. All my information is at the bottom of my email. So if I'm not standing in front of a group or doing a webinar or talking to somebody else, I'll answer. No matter what, I'll get back to you that same day without question. So
Josh is on the phone all day, so he'll take your call. We'll put that information in the show notes too. Thanks, Josh Blum, Program Manager for Blue Card, for giving us all the new information that we have in the Blue Card program. We'll come back and keep people updated on this as we get more information, and we appreciate you being here today. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us on this special edition of the BShifter podcast for the Blue Card Rundown. For all the information, again, go to bshifter.com or check the show notes. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here.